Welcome to the podcast of the complete tribute concert for Manx-born operatic star Margaret Summerscales, Margaret Curphey, recorded in St Andrew's United Reformed Church in Douglas on the 1st of November 2024. She was as Manx as the hills, and at home she was a member of a very musical family and an inspirational singing teacher. But in the international opera world, her work was legendary, and when she died in the spring of this year, many years after she'd stopped singing professionally, tributes poured in for Margaret Curphey, securing her place amongst some of the greatest opera singers of her time. A tribute concert was always going to be the best way to celebrate the life and musical talent of Margaret Curphey, Margaret Summerscales, following her marriage to Philip. Friends, family, fellow singers and former pupils packed into St Andrew's Church here in Douglas in early November to share a night of songs and stories. The Glenfaba Chorale were there, with accompanist Jean James and under the direction of Margaret's sister, Muriel Corkish. And chorale member Alan Gelling was a wonderfully entertaining compere. All the soloists were accompanied by Graham Kirkland, and a very special part of the evening was the tribute paid by Margaret's daughter, Helen. I should mention here that this recording contains something which was not in the concert in November. It's the voice of Margaret herself, which we found just a couple of weeks ago on a cassette in the Manx Radio archives, and which I've now incorporated into Helen Summerscales' tribute to her mother, which you'll hear during the concert.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's lovely to see so many people here this evening. This evening's concert is a special celebration put on by Glenfaba Chorale to celebrate the life of a Manx singer, for some a great singer, for some a mother, for some a cousin, and above all a lovely lady who brought such credit to the music scene on the Isle of Man. And she was the president of the Glenfaba Chorale, and so it's only right that the Glenfaba Chorale puts on a concert to celebrate those achievements and to give thanks effectively for the life that we've all enjoyed. Now, this evening, the collection and the raffle will be in support of the charity Forget Me Not, which was very dear to Margaret's heart and was a great help to her in the latter years of her life. And we're going to start with a couple of pieces from the chorale. The first one, Everything's Coming Up Roses, and then John Rutter's Go Tell It on the Mountain. Now, Everything Coming Up Roses comes from the musical Gypsy. It's a great piece to start a concert because it's sung at the end of the first half. So, but that's the sort of organisation we have at Glenfaba Chorale. When the song was first written, it was written for a musical and then ditched and then brought back in for Gypsy. And it was added at a late stage when the production was nearly ready to go on the stage. And Stephen Sondheim sent the new song in to the stage director who was producing the show. And he said, I've got a new song for you. It's Everything's Coming Up Roses. And the song was to be sung by a character in the show called Rose. Well, when the director got the instruction, Everything's Coming Up Roses, he apparently went back and said, Everything's Coming Up Roses what? But anyway, you'll make your own mind up. And we'll start with Everything's Coming Up Roses by Stephen Sondheim, and then a lovely arrangement, Go Tell It on the Mountain, an American spiritual, and this is the arrangement by John Rutter.
Clear the tracks.
There was a company with a very important contract, and the gentleman in charge of the contract was waiting for his key employee to turn up one morning to seal the deal, and he hadn't turned up. A very reliable lad who never ever let his boss down, and so he rather worried and telephoned the lad's home, and the phone rang, and when it was answered, a tiny little voice said, "Hello?" And the boss said, "Is your daddy there?" And the little voice said, "No." Well, can I speak to your mummy?" "No." "Well, where's mummy?" "She's out in the garden with daddy and the policeman." "Well, and what's the policeman doing?" "He's talking to mummy and daddy and the fireman." And then there was a noise in the background. He said, "And what's that noise?" He said, "It's the rescue helicopter. It's landing in the field next to our house." "What are they looking for?" "Me." They don't get any better, but Margaret had a lovely sense of humour, and she would like to have heard us laugh. So let's hope we'll have some more laughter this evening. But another very important thing in Margaret's life, and the start point in lots of musical careers, was the Cleveland Medal. And Margaret won hers in 1960. This evening, we're very pleased to be able to welcome this year's Cleveland Medal winner, Neil Taverner.
In the brief section I'm singing two songs that I've sung in the Guild recently, actually, given the connection to the Cleveland Medal. That one was a piece by an American composer called Morton Lauridsen, and it's a setting of a poem by the contemporary American poet Dana Joyer, which he wrote following the death of his infant son from sudden infant death syndrome, so it's quite a melancholy reflection on that. And the second one is also a piece by a contemporary American composer, Laurie Lakeman. This is a song that I sang in the Cleveland final this year. It's actually, by coincidence, a setting of a poem by the same American poet, Dana Joyer, and this is called The Apple Orchard.
You won't remember it, the apple orchard we wandered through one April afternoon, climbing the hill behind the empty farm. A city boy, I'd never seen a grove burst in full flower, or breathed the bittersweet perfume of blossoms mingled with the dust. A quarter mile of trees in fragrant rows arching above us, we walked the aisle alone in spring's ephemeral cathedral. We had the luck, if you can call it that, of having been in love but never lovers. The bright flame burning, fed by pure desire, nothing consumed, such secrets brought to light. There was a moment when I stood behind you, reached out to spin you toward me, but I stopped. What more could I have wanted from that day? Everything, of course. Perhaps that was the point, to learn that what we will not grasp is lost.
Thank you, Neil. There was an incident recently when a gentleman was in his kitchen, buttered a piece of toast and dropped it. And it landed on the floor, butter side up. Well, he said, would you look at that? That's never happened before. How can you drop a piece of toast and it lands butter side up? You better get the priest, because I think it could be a miracle, said his missus. So the priest came round and he had a look at the piece of toast and he said, you've moved it, you've turned it over. I haven't, he said, it's fallen that way and that's the way it is. And the parish priest said, well, I think we're going to have to get the bishop to look at this because this could be a miracle. So the bishop was informed and the bishop said, well, it shouldn't happen that way. We'll have to go and take it a little step further because this could be declared a miracle. So it went on to the next stage in the church, and he declared that it could very well be a miracle, but it wasn't his prerogative to say it was. He'd pass it on to the Holy See. And so it went to the Vatican. And they waited with bated breath, and 3 weeks later, the message came back from the Vatican and said, we've considered it very, very carefully, but in this instance, we're not going to regard it as a I can't even think what I'm talking about now. We'll get there eventually. We can't regard it as a miracle because, being Irish, Paddy probably buttered it on the wrong side. I said we get there. Now then, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen next, but we have on the programme David Kilgallon. Now, David Kilgallon isn't here, but his representatives and his family and one or two others is away from the back, so something's going to happen. So come on and do your stuff. The Kilgallon family and friends.
We are Kilgallon family members. Joshua Clarkson is John's son, Esther and Esther's son at the back here, Eben. So we've got a few pieces to do for you. So what we normally do in the family is Manx singing, Manx dancing, Manx stuff. So we're going to start with an invocation, a song, an invocation to St. Bridget. And we're calling upon St. Bridget to come in the house, come through the door and put a blessing on the windows and the door on the four corners of the house. Joshua is now going to play a piece for us called Minna Lead, which he won this year's Guild with in the class for grade 5 to 6 pieces. thank you. Our next song is Manx Vespers. It's a beautiful piece, and it always reminds me of Peel. I always think of the fishing boats going out, and you'll see why when we sing it. It is mainly in English. The chorus is in Manx, and it's Hiarn Jin Merkin, Christ Jin Merkin, Hiarn Jin Merkin, Tashin Gui. Lord have mercy, Christ have mercy, Lord have mercy, we beseech thee.
Now the boats are outward sailing with the tide. Do thou still with watch unfailing guard and guide. Rover of all powers that be, oh, hear us from the lonely sea. Jan Jin Merkin, Christ Jin Merkin, Jan Jin Merkin, Tashin Gui. From the land the smoke ascending fills the air, like a cloud of incense blending with a breath. There on shore and dear at sea, our trusting hearts still cry to thee. Jan Jin Merkin, Christ Jin Merkin, Jan Jin Merkin, Tashin Gui. Here at sea our eyes are sighting as we run, where at home the lamps are lighting one by one. From the land and from the sea, oh, hear us when we cry to thee. Jan Jin Merkin, Christ Jin Merkin, Jan Jin Merkin, Tashin Gui.
Right, this is Eben, everybody. Eben is 8. And he won in the Guild this year in the spoken word. And it's called When Daddy Fell Into the Pond. Is that right?
Everyone grumbled. The sky was grey. We had nothing to do and nothing to say. We were nearing the end of a dismal day, and there seemed to be nothing beyond. Then Daddy fell into the pond. Everyone's faces grew merry and bright, and Timothy danced for sheer delight. "Give me the camera, quick, oh quick! He's crawling out of the duckweed!" Then the gardener suddenly slapped his knees and doubled up, shaking silently. The ducks all quacked as if they were daft, and it sounded as if the old drake laughed. Oh, there wasn't a thing that didn't respond when Daddy fell into the pond.
Thank you, Eben. Right, this is our last song now. It's just an old rhyme, but my friend Annie Kizik, who runs the Kurjan Kujak choir, she composed the arrangement for it, and I pinched it for our choir to sing. I used to run Kilgallon too, but we disbanded in December. So it is basically, there's a fine boat, the tide comes in, the tide goes out, and we'll sing along with it. There's nothing more to it, really. And it doesn't particularly make sense.
Shalasu, shalasu, shalasu,
I'm sure that Kristene Sutcliffe spoke for many of Margaret's past pupils when she said,
I'd just like to say thank you guys for inviting me to sing here tonight. I was one of Margaret's students and I had the great privilege of hearing her beautiful voice and her teaching me so many things and how to carry yourself and everything else as well as the singing stuff, and she was just an inspiration, so it's been a real privilege to be here this evening.
Lovely to have you.
So the eagle-eyed amongst you will realise that I'm not David Kilgallon either. But David was going to do a little surprise piece for the family, and surprise, it's me instead. So this is Young at Heart by the Bluebells.
Now we're going to turn to something completely different, and I'm going to ask Helen to come forward and introduce a piece by her mum. Helen.
Thank you.
And it's at this point that I can bring you something that wasn't in the tribute concert in November. Just a few weeks ago in the Manx Radio archive, we found a cassette copy of well-known presenter Geraldine Jameson in conversation with Margaret Curphey. The year is 1980 and Margaret, here in her early 40s, has just returned to live on the island with husband Philip Summerscales, a fine baritone with his own well-established music career, and their young daughter Helen. The recording is 44 years old, so I apologise in advance that the quality isn't perfect, but I hope it won't spoil your enjoyment of hearing Margaret's own voice sharing her memories, which I've mixed with Helen's own tribute to her mother given during the concert. Geraldine began by sketching in a little of Manx-born Margaret's family background.
Your mother, of course, is a teacher of music, Susie Curphey, and has a small choir called the Country Singers. What about your father? Was he also musical? Oh, yes, he has latterly won 2 Cleveland medals at the local festival, and he still sings. I think it keeps him healthy.
Mum's voice attracted praise from a very, very early age.
I used to go for lessons to Mr. Buxton, and there was Miss Christian and Mrs. Barrow, all these wonderful people who give their time, absolutely free for young singers and help them along.
After leaving school, Margaret continued to sing and compete, winning the prestigious Cleveland Medal in the Guild of 1960. But even then, she didn't think she'd have a career in music. In fact, she had a very different future in mind.
I was 6 years in James Lay, as it was at that time, learning to sew a fine seam. I haven't ever in my career bought an evening dress, and I make most of my own clothes and most of my daughter's. I was singing at the Blackpool Music Festival in 1960 and virtually swept the board that year, every class I went into. And one of the adjudicators had been at the Guild as well that year, and he thought I shouldn't waste what was obviously starting to appear. The voice was starting to grow with me. He'd been talking in the Isle of Man, and someone had said, well, if you think she's worth it, we'll stand by her financially, you see. And while I was at college, I was helped along quite a lot. What age were you when you started training? 22. I went to Birmingham School of Music and I was there for 2 years. Then I went to London and I studied with Joan Cross. That's when I had to take these little jobs. I worked in Marks and Spencer's and I worked as a dentist receptionist and everything, just to pay the rent, as it were. There were many times I thought I'd pack it up and go back. But I know if I'd come back here, they'd say, oh, you couldn't make it, could you? My father would have said, go on, get on with it.
Not only did she become an exceptional singer, but she was also a great role player. And towards the end of her time at college, she auditioned for the English Arts Council Opera for All tour. She joined the group of fresh young voices in 1963 and absolutely loved touring up and down the country, performing favourite opera arias in small venues, quite literally bringing opera to the masses.
Well, I auditioned for the Arts Council for the Opera for All, which was still, I would say, part of my training. There were 10 of us went out in a comber van and a lorry. In the lorry were the costumes and the set, and we'd go to various school halls, church halls, and the boys would have to go up and hang the lights, and we'd have to hang the curtains and iron the costumes and set everything out. And then at the end of the day, we'd have to sing a performance. I sang 3 roles on that tour, and it was a big role every night, virtually. We used to sing 4 or 5 times a week. And by the end of the tour, we were all shattered, absolutely shattered. But we enjoyed ourselves enormously. I mean, we were all in the same boat. It was good training, you really appreciate what goes into putting a show on.
Opera for All opened another door for the talented young Margaret Curphey.
Yeah, there we go. We all auditioned together for Glenfaba while we were on tour. And most of us went to Glenfaba for the following season. We sang in the chorus and covered the stars, as it were. We still learned from watching these people work how to conduct yourself in a proper opera house, as it were. Pavarotti was the Idamante. He's now king of the high seas, they call him. He was a lot younger and slimmer in those days, and he used to chase the dancing girls. His father was a tenor of similar timbre to him. And then there was a lovely lady from Turkey, Leila Gensha, and she sang Anna Bolena. And she was a really nice person. She was getting towards the end of her career, but did she thunder around that stage? You know, for young singers to watch her take the opera by the neck, make it work for her, marvellous.
This opened up an opportunity for Mum to audition for the Sadler's Wells Opera Company in 1965.
Well, during my second year at Glenfaba, Sadler's Wells, as it was then, wrote to me and said, would I be interested in doing Michaela and Carmen for them? And I went into that immediately. Glenfaba season finished. And after 1 year with them, I did Musetta and Bohème with them as well. They said, would you like to come on contract with us? In those days, we used to go out on tour for 13 weeks and then back into London for 13 weeks. They had 2 companies, S Company and W Company. You did 13 weeks either way on tour or in London. Some of the performances honestly weren't all that good. While you're still experimenting and learning your career, you're bound to make mistakes. And then you'd come along and you'd really do one where everything would happen. And you had a tremendous sense of satisfaction where you get a good crit in the paper the morning after. That really gives you a bit of a spur, you know, right, I'm on the right lines.
When Sadler's Wells moved to the London Coliseum and became the English National Opera in 1968, Mum was an established principal soprano under contract. There she enjoyed 13 glorious years, singing some of the best-known dramatic soprano roles, such as Violetta in La Traviata, the Countess in Marriage of Figaro, Mimi and Musetta in La Bohème. In 1970, the E&O sent Mum's own costume from La Traviata ahead of her to Sofia in Bulgaria, where she was due to compete in the international competition for young opera singers. There she performed the role of Violetta on stage in full costume alongside other hopefuls from all around the globe. As one of the most impressive competitors, she was also invited to perform a different piece at a finalists' concert. In later years, Mum would suggest that the voting at the 1970 competition was akin to the Eurovision Song Contest, with the 2 Russian singers claiming both the gold and silver medals. However, the young soprano from the Isle of Man was awarded the bronze medal. Thanks to the kindness and technical expertise of Judith Lay at Manx Radio, we are able to share the concert performance with you this evening. It has been lifted from a vinyl record, but the odd crackle adds to its authenticity. Ladies and gentlemen, please enjoy Miss Margaret Curphey singing Dove Sono, the Countess's aria from Mozart's Marriage of Figaro.
Wasn't that lovely? And we'll hear a little bit more of that later on. Having heard a little about Margaret's setting out in the musical career, I came across a report by some examiners, some music exams, giving the actual answers that they'd received in these examinations to questions that they'd posed for the students. One gentleman actually answered a question about castrati. All female parts were sung by castrati. We don't know exactly what they sounded like because there are no known descendants. And the other piece I liked was Johann Sebastian Bach wrote a great many musical compositions and had a large number of children. In between, he practiced on an old spinster which he kept in the attic. So who said music wasn't fun? Anyway, we're now going to have the ladies come and sing for us. And we've got two pieces now. The first one is Shenandoah, which is an arrangement of an American folk song. The song originated at the beginning of the 19th century and was originally sung by boatmen going up and down the rivers, fur traders basically. And it soon became very popular. It became a sea shanty at certain times, but this is a beautiful arrangement of Shenandoah. And then another American song, this time a spiritual, Hand Me Down My Silver Trumpet. The ladies.
Oh,
me down my silver trumpet, Lord. Well, now if you want a silver trumpet like mine, hand me down my silver trumpet, Gabriel. You better learn to play it in plenty of time. Hand me down my silver trumpet, Lord. Oh, hand me down. Oh, hand me down. Oh, hand me down my silver trumpet, Gabriel. Send it down, hand it down, any old way, just get it down. Hand me down my silver trumpet, Lord.
Chap was walking down the road, and as he was passing the next door neighbour's house, the little lad was in the garden digging a hole. And he stopped and he said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm digging a hole." He said, "What for?" He said, "To bury me goldfish." Oh, he said, "That's an awful big hole to bury your goldfish. Where is it?" He said, "In your cat." Right, we're going to have another item now from Neil Taverner.
Nighttime sharpens, heightens each sensation. Darkness stirs and wakes imagination. Silently the senses abandon their defenses. Slowly, gently, night unfurls its splendor. Grasp it, sense it, tremulous and tender. Turn your face away from the garish light of day. Turn your thoughts away from cold, unfeeling light, and listen to the music of the night. Close your eyes and surrender to your darkest dream. Purge your thoughts of the world you knew before. Close your eyes, let your spirit start to soar. And you'll live as you've never lived before. Softly, deftly, music shall caress you. Hear it, feel it, secretly possess you. Open up your mind, let your fantasies unwind in this darkness which you know you cannot fight. The darkness of the music of the night. Let your mind start a journey to a strange new world. Leave all thoughts of the life you knew before. Let your soul take you where you long to be. Only then can you belong to me.
running, fallen from God, fallen from grace. God be my witness, I never shall yield till we come face to face, till we come face to face. He knows his way in the dark, but mine is the way of the Lord, and those who follow the path of the righteous shall have their reward. And if they fall as Lucifer fell, the flame, the sword, stars in your multitudes, scarce to be counted, filling the darkness with order and light. You are the sentinels, silent and sure, keeping watch in the night, keeping watch in the night. You know your place in the sky, you hold your course and your aim, and each in your season returns and returns, and is always the same. And if you fall as Lucifer fell, you fall in flame. And so it must be, for so it is written on the doorways to paradise, that those who falter and those who fall must pay the price. Lord, let me find him, that I may see him, safe behind bars. I will never rest till then. This I swear by the stars.
Thank you, Neil. We heard before that Margaret was a member of a very well-known musical family. And I came across it. This is not a joke, by the way, it's actual fact. Well, it might be a joke because it's out of the Manx paper. But this is the Isle of Man Examiner, the 9th of October, 1958. And the piece that caught my eye was a piece about the Blackpool Music Festival, which was up and coming. And it gives the details of the people from the island who were going there to compete. It says, from the Graham Kirkland family comes a substantial combined entry in both adult and children's events. Tommy Gelling, that's my uncle, is to compete in the open baritone, the leader, and oratorio solos. Susie Curphey, his sister, my auntie, is down for the oratorio solo, as is Wally Curphey, my uncle, who will also be in the open baritone class, while Margaret Curphey has a trio of entries, the open soprano, operatic and leader events, and 8-year-old twins will be in the Friday Girls solo. I wonder what happened to them. Right, we're going to have another piece from Helen.
Can I just say, Mum would have loved being part of this concert this evening. You've pulled it out of the bag. Thank you so, so much. So, following the success of the master singers in the late 60s. The E&O managing director at the time, Lord Harwood, encouraged Mum to focus on Wagner. Mum had absolutely devoured the role of Ava in that production. And when you listen to it now, the sheer quality of her performance sends tingles down your spine. Even though it was like climbing Mount Everest for Mum, with her acutely painful arthritic hip, she met Sir Reginald Goodall, the renowned Wagnerian conductor, in his attic rooms in the Royal Opera House, known to his cast as Valhalla. There he declared, "You are my Ava." In addition to her stunning voice and stage presence, Sir Reginald admired Mum's instinctive musicality and invited her to perform in several of the Ring Cycle operas, including Gudrun in Götterdämmerung and Sieglinde in Valkyrie. Within a few years, Mum had also sung several performances of the signature role in the Ring Cycle, the legendary Brunhilde. Her Wagner roles took her both North and South America, going away for quite a while, but we look forward to her coming home.
We can learn a little more about this by returning to that Geraldine Jameson interview with Margaret, recorded in 1980.
And I went to Canada to do concerts. I did Ring Cycle in Seattle in America, down to Chile to do another Valkyrie. That was one of those hurry up and come and help us out jobs. I just got back from Seattle and I was so jet lagged and miserable, and I'd been away for 5 weeks and I was so glad to be home. And my agent rang up and said they need a Brunhilde in South America. Do you know the Valkyrie in German? I said no. Well, would you like to go? No. So I heard no more about it for a week, and she rang back and said they're desperate. They've got through 2 Brunhildes and they need you desperately. They'll take you in English. I said, I don't really want to go. They're so desperate they'll pay for your husband to go as well. So Philip said, I'd like a trip to Chile. So come on, let's go. So we had to ring up the Isle of Man, get my mother to come and collect Helen, and off we set to Chile, Santiago, and we were there for 10 days.
Do you ever get a chance to speak to the other performers on stage that perhaps the audience, don't notice or hear?
Oh yes, in opera especially you can, because you have little times where you're part of the action. It is completed to the time being, you're still part of the picture, and the lights probably go down on you and go on to another part of the stage. It happened in Meistersinger. I remember in Act 2 where we're sitting under the linden trees, supposed to be gone to sleep, we're preparing to run away, and Alberto Remedios and I sitting under the tree, and it's all very quiet, and he turns to me and he said, Liverpool did well today, didn't they? They won, and they were away from home too. They're going to be all right. And little chats, about kids and things. And then he says, hey, we must be on in a minute. We must be going to sing soon. Wagner has such great long chunks like that where you can have a little chat,
And from Margaret Curphey herself, sharing some professional secrets, back to her daughter Helen's tribute.
While Mum's reputation as an eminent Wagnerian soprano was at an all-time high, she was still asked to perform other roles as part of the E&O company. Even though Mum wasn't a big fan of the rather drippy character Michaela in Carmen, there was no one else who could sing Michaela's aria quite like Margaret Curphey. So she may have rolled her eyes when spotting the role on her call sheet, but she always delivered the most powerful performance and left the audience spellbound. Ladies and gentlemen, for the final time, I'm privileged to introduce my beautiful mother and the finest soprano that many of us here were lucky to know. Miss Margaret Curphey singing Michaela's aria from Bizet's Carmen.
There was
We've always regarded the island as home, and when both of us happen to be away, it's good for Helen, our daughter, to be at home, as it were, and still continuing her routine, her school, and my parents are here, and Philip's mother's here, and she's always got family around her. Well, last year here, during the Millennium celebrations, I know that you gave a concert, whiwhich was a tremendous success in Peel Parish Church. In fact, it was packed to capacity. Well, what was it like for you yourself to sing on your own home ground? Well, it was fantastic, actually, that concert. It had something about it. It was sheer magic. The people came to enjoy themselves. The acoustic was marvellous and Peel Church to sing in. There were two choirs. There's Glenfaba Ladies Choir and the Country Singers. I did a number with the choirs, the Easter hymn, and they went sort of mad at the end of it. It really was the most thrilling evening.
Elderly gentleman was walking in the country. He walked past a lily pond. He thought he was on his own. And a voice said, "Pick me up, don't go." And he stopped and looked. There was nobody there. He thought he must be dreaming, so he went to go again, and the voice said, "Pick me up, don't go." And he looked around again, and here on the lily pond was a frog. And he looked at this frog and said, "Did you speak?" And the frog said, "Yes, pick me up." So he picked him up and he had him in the palm of his hand. And the frog said, "I was a beautiful princess and a witch turned me into a frog. But if you give me a nice kiss, I'll turn back into that beautiful princess. And as a reward for that, I'll do absolutely anything for you for the rest of your days." And he said, "Anything?" She said, "Yes, absolutely anything." And he looked at the frog. He picked it up and he put it in his top pocket. And the frog said, "Aren't you going to give me a kiss?" And he said, "No, at my age, I'd rather just have a talking frog." Now then, I've already seen Kristene, and she's going to come up now with a gentleman who needs absolutely no introduction, so I'm not going to give him one. Simon Fletcher.
I expect every one of my crowd to make fun of my proud protestations of faith in romance. And they'll say I'm naive as a babe to believe any fable I hear from a person in pants. Fearlessly, I'll face them and chase all their doubts away. Loudly, I'll sing about flowers and spring. Flatly, I'll stand on my little flat feet and say, love is a grand and a beautiful thing. I'm not afraid to reveal these world-class emotions I feel. I'm as corny as Kansas in August. I'm as normal as blueberry pie. No more smart little girl with no heart. I have found me a wonderful guy. I am in a conventional dither with a conventional tear in my eye. And you will note there's a lump in my throat when I speak of my wonderful guy. I'm as tried and a gay as a daisy in May, a cliche coming true. I'm romantic and bright as the moon's starry night, sipping over the dew. I'm as corny as Kansas in August, high as a flag on the 4th of July. If you'll excuse the expression I use, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love, I'm in love with a wonderful guy.
As you've already heard, obviously Margaret, apart from being a wonderful opera singer, and you've heard the evidence there tonight, she also loved her musicals as well. And when Muriel asked me to sing this particular piece, I was absolutely delighted. It's one of my favourite shows. Latterly, I've probably been more used to singing Henry Higgins' rants about the female sex. But if you can use your imaginations vividly and cast your minds back about 30 years to when I was in short pants. And I was, one of the first shows I ever did actually was My Fair Lady, and I played Freddie Eynsford Hill, and this is the song that he sings from that musical My Fair Lady, and it's On the Street Where You Live. liveried chauffeur.
A liveried chauffeur? Do I want? No, sir.
Who wants an opera box, I'll bet?
I don't.
And sleep through Wagner at the Met?
I don't.
Who wants two cornucopias too?
I don't.
And I don't, 'cause all I want is you. And I don't, 'cause all I want is you.
Right, before we get into the final pieces, I'm going to call upon the chairman of the Glenfaba Chorale, Charlie Farger, to come and say a few words.
Your Excellency, Lady Lorimer, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, all of you, for coming along this evening, and I hope you enjoyed the show. A particular welcome to Sir John and Lady Lorimer, and to a number of our vice presidents. A very, very warm welcome to an amazing array of Margaret's immediate and extended family. Thank you to the elders and the members of St Andrews for allowing us to use this church and for all their help in setting up and for the refreshments which will follow. A very special mention to our own Sandy Newson, who has been instrumental in arranging everything here for us this evening. I would also like to pay tribute, it was mentioned by Alan, to Judith Lay and her colleagues from Manx Radio for creating what they've created tonight. I don't know how you've done it, but it's been absolutely wonderful with those beautiful memories of Margaret singing, and also for the wonderful promotion of tonight on Manx Radio. So thank you very much indeed. Especially an enormous thank you to all of our guest performers. You have all been absolutely wonderful, and it has been an absolute treat. Thank you all very much indeed. And thank you to Alan for comparing in his unique way. I've heard some of those jokes before, Alan, but Lady Lorimer had heard some too. But there's one or two, I think, that His Excellency Lady Lorimer hadn't heard before. So thank you for that, Alan. But thank you very much indeed for comparing it. And it's great, Alan. Alan has not been well over the last year or so, but he's back with us, which is great. Thank you, Alan. And of course, an enormous thank you to my colleagues within the Glenfaba Choir. We've all scrubbed up rather nicely tonight. And thank you for attending our practices leading up to tonight, and of course for singing so well. And to our accompanist, Jean. Jean is the accompanist for our choir, and she's an absolute inspiration, and what a find. We found her in Ramsey, of all places. So she travels from Ramsey to St John's, come rain or shine, to be our accompanist. Thank you very much, Jean. And a very, very special thank you to Helen. Helen, for what you've done is just absolutely unique. You did it so absolutely beautifully. A lot of work went into that, but what a joy to hear your mum entertaining us all like she did so well. Thank you, Helen, for doing it. And then, of course, to Muriel. Muriel is our musical director, and thank you, Muriel, for knocking us into shape and for persevering with us. I know we can drive you up the wall from time to time. I think we got there in the end, but thank you, Muriel. This concert was very much Muriel's idea, her plan, and she has so ably put it all together. A lot of work has gone in to making it all happen for us tonight, bringing everybody together, and I hope creating an enjoyable evening for you all. Like many of you here tonight, I had the pleasure of knowing Margaret for all of my life. I'm sure there's a lot of people who are like me in that way. So finally, but most importantly, thank you to Margaret for enriching and enhancing our lives. Thank you. As you know, ladies and gentlemen, there's been no admission charge this evening, but the choir decided, because it was very important to Margaret and her family, that we would raise money tonight for this particular charity. So, Forget-Me-Not. And I'm just going to call upon the Chief Executive of Hospice, John Knight, who's just going to say a very few words, John. And I do hope that when you do leave, that you'll be generous in putting something in there for this very, very worthwhile charity. Thank you.
I think it's always risky doing a sporting analogy on a musical evening, but ladies and gentlemen, I feel like I'm stood in the sweet spot of a finely tuned tennis racket with a whole variety of thank yous to say. So if I was that tennis racket, I think my powerful forehand topspin down the line would be to the musical talent that's been on display tonight. And so thank you very much to everybody who's entertained us so far this evening. I think the wonderful backhand slice down the line would be to all of you for supporting this evening's event, and clearly for the funds that you will make available to the Forget-Me-Not Trust. I think the forehand smash would be the Forget-Me-Not trustees, who 100% fund the Admiral Nurse Service that is delivered out of Hospice Isle of Man and helps work with some of the nearly 1,800 people on the Isle of Man who suffer from dementia. And they do that through the goodness of their own hearts and through their own events and through events like tonight as well. I think finally, keeping it brief, the forehand at the net, the volley at the net, would be for the three Admiral nurses. Chris is one of them. He's with us this evening, and they spent all day, every day in their career supporting patients with dementia, supporting the families who are helping and supporting patients with dementia. And not only that, but now with the third Admiral nurse, we're also able to educate the healthcare sector and make their ability to care for people with dementia even better. So thank you to the Admiral nurse team. In all my sporting life, I've only ever had 5 shots, so the fifth shot, I think, would be that breathtaking, awe-inspiring shot that John McEnroe would play when the opponent's rushing into the net, and he would just lift it over the top of the opponent, and it would land just on the back line, and everybody would take a breath and think, how could he play that shot? Now, I never met Margaret, but it sounds to me like that would be the shot Margaret would play.
Thank you, John. Well, we've come to the end of our programme this evening, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to finish off with a couple of pieces, quite contrasting. We've had a new lease of life at Glenfaba Chorale, and we've added to the portfolio the music of Queen. Now, I don't know which of us is going to be Freddie Mercury. Well, I haven't got the hair for it, so that gets me out. A lovely piece called Love of My Life, and it's been written and rearranged for chorale. And then finally, a very well-known piece, The London Derriere is the tune, and the words are Danny Boy, and the arrangement is by Stephen Porter.
Broken my Manx Radio